Alright guys, welcome to another Sunday Sessions. I'm Danny and this is...
The UK Fish Layer. It is I. Under the cap.
Ben is back.
Guess who's back?
I was forced to have him back again. I mean, after all the complaints last time. It's a pleasure as always, mate. Good.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
Enjoying this beautiful weather?
Oh, it's mighty fine outside.
It's gorgeous, isn't it, mate?
It's lovely.
I was out this morning before this and it was just stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Well, it's mighty fine. It's lovely from a garden, but it's actually been... The weather has posed a little bit of havoc with the fishing over the last week.
I bet.
You know, it's one of those situations where people are not really looking that deep into it. Think, oh, it's beautiful, it's baking. I mean, I was barbecuing yesterday. Barbecue, couple of bottles of red plonk, you know, living the dream.
Bud, yes.
But...
That's what happens when you're an international YouTube star.
I don't know about that. You know, that's why I'm wearing the cap now. I'm getting mobbed when I walk down the street. There's fans waiting outside the studio now.
I bet, man, yeah.
But seriously, weather-wise, it is glorious. High pressure, as we know. We've had some beautiful sunshine, barbecue weather in the garden. But we've still had this easterly wind.
Yeah, it's killing me, mate. It's killing me.
Oh, it's caused havoc. I mean, this week, I had the start of the week scheduled 3 different sessions that I was supposed to be going on. 2 boat sessions, 1 shore fishing, and I ended up doing 1 out of the 3, which was the shore. The first over last weekend was supposed to be the place. There's a Plymouth Open Place Championship, small boat place championship. That got blown off. That's been rescheduled for a few weeks down the line. I was supposed to be going out midweek for an evening trip with Kev Lavis from Crusader Charters.
Yep.
That was blown out. We was supposed to be doing a wee bit of bait fishing for some toothy critters, you know, boas and conger and whatnot. So that was another one that sort of bit the dust. And the only thing I ended up doing out of all of those was the shore trip, which, you know, it was not really a second best because it was a lovely day out. But, when this easterly wind goes, I'll be very, very pleased, you know.
It plays up at my end. Obviously, I'm East Devon, and it's all red sandstone, super shallow beaches, red sandstone. So on easterlies, it just fucks it. Yeah. And obviously, all the big estuaries and stuff that I fished, the X and the Teen, even if there's not been an ounce of rain, it's balmy, hot as hell. But the bottom ends are filthy because it's lifting up all that red sandstone and all the shit. And then on the flooding tides, it's just pumping straight into the system. So even though it should be mint, it's still filthy down there. Because
not to mention, it's bloody freezing when you stand out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, that session that I did on the shore. Beautiful sunny day, bloody freezing.
So you wrapped up, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I was wrapped up. I mean, funny. So we filmed it for. I went out with Martin Larkin, aka Larks. He's a bit of a local legend around here, but I get on really well with him.
Do you reckon you could get him on a podcast?
I think so. Yeah.
Do you reckon he would?
I reckon most definitely. Yeah,
I'd like that because obviously I know who Larks is. A lot of people will know who Larks is. Bit of a southwest fishing leg end.
Yeah,
mate. If you could mention it,
we will.
That's kind of heritage of southwest, specifically southwest fishing. He's done it all. He knows all the other people.
He's a good angler. I've fished a lot with him over the last few years. I've done a fair few trips with him, and he's got a wealth of knowledge. B, he's a top bloke. When you get to know him, he is a very nice, kind, giving bloke, and he gives a lot of info and a lot of his time out to other people. And if you don't take advice, not so much advice when I'm fishing with him, but even just brushing off on you, if you don't switch your game up a little when you're dealing fishing with people like him, then you're never going to go anywhere. And he has got some fish under his belt. I mean, he is the...
You still hold it?
He's the British record conger eel holder, shore caught. But... yeah, I did some filming for the Sakuma channel to have a little sit-down chat with him. We also filmed my own video for our own YouTube, which went out this morning. And there's a couple of funny little things on there, going back to these cold easterlies, where we're literally... we fished a mark where it's got big hillsides all along behind us, almost cliff sides, and the shade was the sun's coming round and the shade was so bitterly cold, and we were fishing right in the shaded area. So as the sun peers up through the cliffside, there's like this little V of sunlight that's going across the beach where we were, and we both sort of gravitated towards it, and we're just standing there like this, basking in the sun. And I just thought, you know what? I just started filming us, and we're both like two absolute idiots in the middle of the morning, standing there in the sun, going, worshipping the sun. It was that cold. But always a fun time going out fishing with him. And we had another good fun time then. And I mean, the fishing wasn't super great. We managed to catch a few fish. We were after to primarily place. I had one place. I caught a bit of a freak.
I saw, mate. Yeah,
fish for that area, which was a fairly decent black bream. It was certainly over a sort of 1.5 pound sort of size. So quite a nice fish from the shore anyway.
Mate, as I commented on your page, I was... Well, when I first saw it, I thought, is it an old picture from like he's posted something from his history up there? Because I was like, well, he's wrapped up quite a lot. I knew it was cold, and I saw this black brain. And I'm thinking, there's no fucking way he's had that down there today. And it had. So I was like, actually, I know this area quite well. I was like, that's a fucking fish.
I mean, even Larks, as he was walking up, he's like, that ain't a black bream, that'll be a gilt. And I'm like, Larks, that's a black bream, mate. And he's like, let me look. Oh, bloody hell, it is a black bream. I'm like, I told you. But I had that, and then it was a really quiet period throughout the day. We fished hard. It's very busy on that beach where we fished. I bet,
man. Yeah. And especially with the weather. The weather brings them out, doesn't it? I mean, Easter holidays as well.
Yeah. It's a beautiful spot, though. I mean, it really is. Actually, I know this is often said, but it's one of the most picturesque fishing spots you would ever be likely to fish in the UK. I'd put my neck out and say it's one of the most beautiful spots.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's certainly one of the best spots I've fished, and I've done a hell of a lot of fishing around the UK. You've got sort of this beach-going life, everybody coming along. Funny story is that there, when the tide comes right up, you've got sort of lots of little rocky outcrops, and there's beaches like coves, and the people getting cut off, and they've got to get a ferry back across to the other side. And me and Larks are just sitting there. The amount of people that actually got stuck, and they're like there, and we're sort of kindly telling them, like, if you don't get off now, that's coming up to the rocks now. If you don't get off now, you're going to be here at least until sort of 2 or 3 hours further down the line as that tide turns. And they're like, oh, we're just here for a bit of beach, like, we'll be fine. And we're just like, okay. A couple of hours later, we're looking around, and they're all like standing on top of the rocks, like looking where they can go and that. And we're just like, there you go,
Natural selection, mate.
Exactly that. It's exactly that,
Luckily, it's balmy down there. It's got to be mega rough for it to be any kind of issues down there. But even still, you don't want to be falling in the water, kids in the water. I mean, it's like I said, it was cold.
Oh, yeah, it's fresh. But yeah, that's it. And so... Larks managed to pull something out of the bag very last minute as well, have a fish last minute, which was great because, when we go, it's a team effort. And we're filming, it doesn't overly matter if he catches or I catch, but we both would like to catch, so that was good. And we had a right crack as well. At one stage, Larks, we were filming for Sakuma, and he left a whole loaf of bread. He was going to have a go for some money. He left a whole loaf of bread in the wrapper on the side. And then when we're filming, we're just sort of carried away. 15, 20 minutes later, we sort of walk back to the spot, and the bread's completely empty. The bag's empty. It's an empty bag. So Larks is like... oh, who's had that? That's them dog walkers. So a few people were walking their dogs, and he's literally interrogating them. He's like, has your dog been here eating my bread? And they're like, no, honestly, he doesn't eat bread. He's over there, And then, so he had another loaf of bread. So he's like, where is that? I said, that's got to be these birds, Larks, So he got another loaf out and set a little trap. And when fishing slow, you're doing stupid things, ain't you? So we set a little trap, and we put a whole loaf of bread out, unopened, on the side of the rocks where the last one went to, and then lo and behold, about 5 minutes later, a gull comes in, starts pecking, rips it open, nicks I actually filmed it and put it on our Facebook thing, like the gull nicks a whole slice, legs it down the beach with a slice with his little legs going. And
Larks chasing after him.
Me and Larks are just like, thief, and then the crows start coming in, pecking at it. It's like a free-for-all. So there's a couple of little runts of seagulls on the far side, and Larks is like, again, this is his kind nature as well, genuinely, he's like, feels sorry for them, so he walks over, shoos off of most of the crows, and literally he's throwing bread to these little runts of seagulls because he felt sorry for them, Fair play to the guy. Like I say, this is the thing behind the scenes that people don't really see. He's a nice guy, you know. He can be very black and white, the way he tries to put himself across or give people advice, but he is a nice guy, genuinely. So there you go. That's my week in a nutshell.
Ben, if you can get him on,
I'll have a chat with
even
him.
if it's in the month that you're here, if you can get him on, so he feels a bit more confident because he obviously knows you. Well, he's met me loads of times out and about, like, but he doesn't really know me. He just we say hello, and obviously I know who he is a lot more than he knows who I am. If you can get him on, mate, as a guest while you're in here with me, that'd be the bollocks, mate. So,
well, I will have a chat.
That's your goal.
He loves talking about fishing, and he has got more stories than all of us put together. I would say that he has done some of the things he's done, and the fish that he's caught. Fair play to him. He puts time in, and this is a lot of people misread him. You know, it's like, oh, because he's out all the time. Look, he works. He finds his time to go fishing, and when he does, he puts himself out there to catch fish, you know. So fair play to the guy. I've always said it. Absolutely fair play to him. We were talking about his hunt and his pursuit for a big gilthead bream, and you know, I believe he's going to get it. I hope he does. I really hope I'm there when he
last
catches it.
time I spoke to him, that was the topic.
Like
was a monster gill.
I hope he gets it. Sincerely, I hope he gets. I mean, if there's somebody I'd like to catch a fish. Not as much as me. I'd like to catch it more than him. But no, you know what I mean? It would be him. I'd love him to catch that fish, you know? But anyway, that's me. How about you? What have you been up to?
Well, actually, my luck has finally fucking changed. As we've discussing, easterly winds have killed it for me up my way. Cold, water's filthy. I've been out a couple times in the last month around like kiddie care. And it's been disappointing to say the least. You know, I finally found some mullet coming into the system, which they weren't for a long, long time. Mega late this year, but I was getting a bit like, I know in previous years for a long, long time that I've already been catching good numbers of bass by now, but it just wasn't to be. Went down this week. You know when you get that, like, there's like a little voice in your head tells you to do something, and I spoke to my mate. I was like, you know what? Fucking like, my daughter ended up going away to see family a couple more days longer than what I had originally planned. I was like, well, I ain't got work till the weekend. Let's do it. Ended up going down there. First spot. Loaded. I was like, fucking yes.
When you say loads of mullet coming into the system, when you're fishing, are you fishing for the mullet? Are you looking for bass that are following the mullet?
Yeah.
What's the situation?
So my stuff up my way, although the bass come in all winter there, rain depending, I get, like, my sign for me to get excited about the season's changing is when I start to see lots of shoals of mullet coming up with the tide. Mm-hmm. When I know the mullet are there, I know 100% the bass are already there, but they will be in good numbers of bass coming up now. And like for some of the local guys that fish with me, it was these big April springs that have just happening as we speak now. That is kind of like the tick off for a lot of people's bass season up around me. They won't even bass fish till this spring of this April, so that's cool. I mean, and you know what? That little niggle in the back of my head said, fuck it, let's do it. It was baking hot. Middle of the day. Not even like primo times. It was fucking cooking. Not a breath of wind on it. Went down to this particular mark. A fairly new one for me. Something that I've spoke about it on the podcast before. I'm a real advocate for like the watercraft and knowledge around why the fish are there. Not only just looking for fish, but the reasons why they're there. I live on Google Maps, Google Earth, researching access. And this year I've got myself 5 little pings that are all brand new to me. I've known about them for years, but I haven't actually like put any real time in them. So I've got 5 little pings this year that are going to be my little projects.
I mean, it's absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. When I talk to you, I could be talking to larks. I could be basically talking myself. Everybody that is, let's say, semi-successful catching fish. It's not just about catching fish, is it? It's about everything in between. It's about conditions. It's about what they like to do, where they might be at them certain times.
Yes.
And that is the people that end up winkling a few more fish out than others generally are the ones that think a little bit deeper than just saying, well, I'm going to cast this bait out there and they're going to take that. And if they don't take it, then I won't catch anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I spent 2 hours, my lure didn't leave my rod, just tucked underneath my arm.
Yeah.
My Costa's on, just scanning.
Yeah.
So what it was, like, there's basically, it's a set of like salty marshes where it's a mixture of mud, some bladder, a little bit of shingle, a couple of real old recce boats, small boats, pleasure boats that have been left to die. And there's one tiny, it's not being used anymore, there's one tiny, it's like an old water sluice outlet that's defunct, it's falling apart. It's just a wreck of the remains of this. But there is obviously still a little bit of water comes out of it. It creates a little bit of a stream that goes out into the mud. It's about 50 yards of mud before sand, and then it's upper limits of the estuary, so it's not overly wide there. But it's just one, like, along a section of coast, it's like, if you look, it's probably the most predominant feature there, where there's just a little bit of something going on. And I know, because I watch, like we were just saying, I'm real keen on researching about why the bass are there and what they're going to do and how they're going to feed. Freshwater outlet, I know there's baby flounder there. When it's a bit warmer, loads of shrimp, Gamro shrimps in the mud, because there's a freshwater outlet there. And you'll quite often find that on these estuarine systems, where these creeks come in, you'll quite often find a lot of life around it, whether that be bird life or bugs. Behind that's the mullet, behind that's the baby flounders, and behind that's the bass. Finger mullet, the bass are smashing them. This time of year, certainly this time of year, a lot of these big bass are coming in and they're munching the fuck out of crabs, smashing them, you know?
Well, it's just that time now where the crabs are starting to shed. And
so I'd spent 2 hours in that, kind of 50-50, because I knew the week before, I'd been there the week before, didn't see a soul. But like I said, something was niggling in my head to go down and give it a whirl. I went down there for 2 hours just mooching. Didn't really see much. What it was the tide was still a bit high. And I was like, It's one of these, because it's new to me, I have no intel. No one's told me that it's worth a go, but it's just my intuition's like, this should.
It's once you go there and hit it off, it's like logged then. That's what, those circumstances led to that fish.
Yeah, I knew what I was looking for. And as you know, with estuaries, especially East Devon estuaries, they can change an awful lot. Each winter can completely change them. Mud, sand, all moves. I'd gone into the spot. I didn't really know exactly what I was going to see, but I had a rough idea what I was going to see. It ended up being about 2 hours before stuff was exposing and features were exposed that I was then getting excited about. I went in there literally within 10 minutes of it being what I felt was what I was looking for. Load of bladder polyps kicking up, big old blackfish sitting behind it. I was like, oh, you dirty bastard. Sun was...
Are you doing a lot of sight fishing for your fish?
All sight fishing,
all sight fishing.
Yeah, literally, I'm watching for these. I'm looking. I do a lot of blind fishing for them, but what I love it is I've got quite expensive glasses. Yeah. I'm looking for fish. I found a big fish sitting behind a bit of bladder, and I put it up on Facebook. Actually, I fucked it up, big star. Fucked it up, big star. I got a little bit excited. I was like, oh my god, it's there! And I mooched around, and what it was is there was a tiny bit of northeasterly wind coming in, and it was just plinking my line up a bit, and it was just enough. I was elevated on it. I'll build the story now. I was elevated on like a marshy grass bank, higher than what I wanted to be, but it was a really good vantage point for me to look, and I had the grass to cover me, so I wasn't like sticking out like a sore thumb. The sun was facing me, there was no shadow, but I was obviously lit up on the bank. I was like, the line had picked up, and the lure had moved probably a 2 foot to the right further than what I would have liked. I'm quite an assassin with those casts, I know where to pin, but the wind meant that I didn't have as much control, so when I tried to numb it down, it'd gone down the pool a little bit further than what I wanted, about 2 foot. It caught this bit of bladder, and the lure creeped up over it, and I thought, that's not too bad. He's about 2 foot away. He's going to see it. Gin clear, he's going to see it. But what happened is where I fish buoyant lures, and they fish claws up in the air. It'd come up over, and as it stands up, it plinked and rolled.
When you say claws up, is that like
a crab? Crab.
Crawfish imitation?
Yeah. So it's a floating imitation crab.
Okay.
They sit up on the paws.
Are they weedless that you fish?
They are, yeah. The hook's hidden inside the body. It's gone up on top of the bladder, and as it's caught, the bladder's caught the right hand arm claw of the crab. The crab's rolled and just slightly nicked the bladder. I was like, fuck. And I thought, if I pull it, what I don't want to do is move that bladder, because that fish is on the other end of the bladder. So, no. So I thought, kind of a plink. I don't want to make too much noise. And I did. I pulled it, and it landed in, and I jerked it, and the shake of the weed, it puffed up a bit of mud, and I saw the fish go, ooh, and I thought, it's going to hit it, and it went, off it went. I was like, fuck. I was livid. Within 5 minutes, I'd looked down the pool, there was another one. I ended up getting another fish. It was a low 60, which if you want to pull it up, Aaron, on the picture, I've got a picture of it here. Yeah. So, and as you'll see, it's a bit of a hanger.
It looks like a bit of an old warrior,
there's more to it. There is another picture on my Facebook of it, and you can't see it in this photograph. But basically, there's a big old gash, quite old wounds, big old gash here, and an even bigger one on the other side. Proper chunk out of it, plus a couple of marks on this cheek, and the same. And I don't know Who knows? This fish has obviously got a bit of a history. Whether it's a seal escapee, it's not nets. It's definitely not cormorant.
It's a gangster fish.
Yeah, I mean it's seen a lot.
I've got a scar on my face.
Mate, it was a fucking absolute hanger.
It's got some personality to it.
Yeah, it was.
How did it go? Fight well?
Yeah, it went mental. Absolutely went steamrolling off. I mean, obviously feeding. I mean, the wounds were very old. They weren't. They were deep because it was flesh. There was no like scales or anything. It was still flesh showing, but it was all healed. There was no blood or nothing. It was all wounds, but certainly an old warrior.
Oh, definitely. Have a look.
Yeah, man, and
that's what it's all about.
That's it. Yeah. So I mean, cool fish. But there's another picture of it that you can see. And on the other flank that's facing me this way, I mean, was literally dead centre of the flank, a proper. Where I think it's a seal grabby. It's escaped the seal because there's so much damage to it. There's nothing else. An otter would have. I mean, the marks on its face, maybe an otter could do that, but the otter wouldn't do the damage that's on the flanks, I don't think, because I know how otters feed. So who knows? I mean,
whatever it was, he's had a lucky escape.
Yeah, and it was full to with crabs. It was crunchy with crabs. Let that one go. That was my so that's this year's first bass of the season. Landed. Lovely. Buzzing off my tits. Well happy with that after being so quiet for a while.
Do you ever eat them?
I probably over a season. I probably take 2 to 5 myself. I donate. I love fish. I eat fish all the time. Mm-hmm. I have no interest in killing bass, but I'm not one of these fish release nutsies. If I got a mate that says, I got a mate Dave that I fished with a couple of times. I know he always wants to take a bass home if he can get one within the season. If I get one that's like late 40s, so a nice eating size, not too big, not too small, I will always. Dave, you want it?
Yeah. Why not?
If I'm on my own, I don't. Yeah. I mean, if I got a real deep bleeder, but luckily the way I fished, you don't tend to really get that. I'm not fishing treble hooks as such. So I've not got loads of hooks flying all over if they hook them in the eyes or in the gills with a treble. I fish mostly soft plastics, but I'm not a fish killing nut. So I mean, if a mate of mine wants to take one for the table, help themselves.
No, I mean, there are times when they just don't go back also, aren't there?
No, of course, yeah, absolutely.
That even the black bream I had in the week, it literally wouldn't go back.
Yeah.
We literally, Lark went out into the water in his boots and literally was in there for 5 minutes or more, and he just was going, and that wasn't even deeply hooked. I don't even really know why it didn't survive.
Yeah.
It was edible size. And what are you going to do? Let it go and drift down the tide to be picked up by the crab
gulls or whatever,
or make a nice meal of it, you know? So
I mean, also as well, you can flip that. I mean, I know for a fact that I've got certain systems that I fish. I fish quite a number of systems that some systems are bait. They tend to eat a lot of bait fish. Some systems where I know, and that's that watercraft side of me again. I know that I speak to what was in it. And it'll be baby flounder, baby cuttlefish and crabs, or there'll be some that is only full of small eel and whitebait. And I can then adjust my methods and areas. I know that in this area I'll probably better catch them on a metal or surface lure, whereas on that specific venue I ended up getting one more as well, a slightly smaller fish, and I hooked and lost a fucking monster which would burn me for a bit.
But I mean,
I know what they're eating because my mates.
Well, it is. I mean, with the bass, I'm not that experienced in my bass spinning, but I have done a lot of lure fishing off the boat, in particular for bass, and it is a case of matching the hatch.
Of course it is.
We were talking about it just beforehand, weren't we? And sometimes it's funny. You can't just throw what you want at them and think they're going to take it. They become fixated on bait, and if they're tuned into eating crabs, then 9 out of 10 of the fish, if you're going to catch one, it will be on a crab imitation or something along those lines. If you're just firing off, any form of fish lure in front of them, they're not just going to take it.
Yeah. Well, that particular spot, like I say, I had one more on bottom contact methods. I call it critter fishing stuff on the bottom that looks a little bit like baby flounder, baby cuttlefish, prawn, crab. Yeah. But I said to my mate, I said, look, that spot, you could have fished top waters and small white paddletails or silver paddletails all day for as much as he fucking liked.
Yeah.
I mean, never say never, but he wouldn't have caught anything. I know, because I know that area quite well. I mean, it was going to be that method.
Is that sort of crawling along the bottom method something relatively new over into the UK? It sounds like an American thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been
going
going
like something I've seen largemouth bass being. It's
been going on for donkey's years in America and Japan for donkey's years. Probably 4 years, just coming over 4 seasons ago in the UK. A good mate of mine, Chris. A release of a particular lure, a megabass sleeper crawl, got released when they first released it in Japan, and he'd ordered one. We were using a lure called a dark sleeper, which are a deadly method for this sort of stuff. The French boys over in Ultimate Fishing for years have fished these dark sleepers. It's a very similar sort of thing, but it's a bait fish rather than a crawl. That they released a sleeper crawl, which is the little squat lobster crawfish imitation of that same style lure, hidden hook point in it. So he'd got one. I think he'd one or two he'd ordered in amongst an order of dark sleepers, which is what we were tuned into, like I say, about 4 years ago. And the funny story of it is that that sat in his box for a good 18 months. No, probably not 18 months. A good at least a year, because it was like it's a weird, compared to what we normally use. It's a different presentation. It's 18 grams. So for what it looks like, it's actually a lot heavier than what you'd think it would need it to be for the sort of fishing that we were doing. So it sat there, and I mean, I lost count of the amount of times he tried to get to swap that with me for one of my lures in my box because he didn't want it. But it turned out, like all those years ago, a spring, late spring.
It was a killer.
Fucking game changer.
It was a killer. If you had the opportunity now, you'd have snapped his arms off.
Well, that's it. Well, so I'll tell you a story. Like again, I mean, there's a couple of things with this, but I mean, that very day that he clicked it on down not far from what we were talking about with your Bream venue, I mean, used it there, and I couldn't actually get the time off. It was him and a mate of ours, Dave, that'd gone out there, lit the fucking place up, like unbelievable. Like what? We'd had this in our box for, like, say, over a year at this point. Never even seen the light of day. Put it on, and it barrel rolled them. They couldn't help themselves. So what they ended up doing, it was they run out of tide. They're like, fuck it, where's the nearest stockist? They ended up going from South Hams, driving all the way to Bristol to Veals, doing click and collect and buying about 10 of them, driving all the way up the M5, getting about 10 different colours and driving all the way back down to get the opposite end of the tide, going back out and spanking the fuck out of them again.
Did they spank it again?
Yeah, smoked the life out of them. Yeah. So they literally drove all the way to Bristol to go and collect, click and collect.
I love that sort of stuff.
It was the only shop at that time. Yeah, it was the only shop at that time that had them in stock.
Yeah, it's like when your bee's in your bonnet, you just got to do it. You know you've got to do it there and then, because otherwise that bite will be dead. That will never come back again. Sometimes you've got to make them executive decisions, don't you? Know?
And like now, and it's become a bit of a thing now. Crawfishing, critter fishing, bottom contact methods. I mean, there's quite a lot of guys using it. Mark Cowlin's been doing it. Henry's been doing a bit of it. We've been doing it for a number of years, and it's deadly successful now. There are a number of shops that sell these now, but back in the day, there was only a handful of shops that sold them, and it was a total unknown.
As I've said, I'm not a shore lure bass fisherman. Although I'm not objective, I would, me and you will be doing it one day. It's very soon. However, when you talk about like that sort of technique, that really gets the juices flowing for me. I just envisage sort of this. I've done a little bit of bone fishing in my time, and you're sort of puffing up the crab imitation. I love it.
That's exactly it. Exactly.
It's so good,
and it's really good, and it just floats about. Like I was saying, that spot where I caught that fish, I had one more as well.
Yeah.
It's all sight fishing, gin clear water, and what? And I said the funny ending to that story was it's all salt marshes and high ground, so there is no. I 90% of my time fishing waders religiously. Not that I'm always wading deep in it, but I use waders to get to places that aren't readily available from off of like dry land. But this spot is actually one. It's a bit of a yomp because it is the ass end of nowhere.
Yeah.
But you don't need anything. You can. But I'd hooked this slightly smaller fish, and it got wrapped around a bit of kelp. They're only small polyps because it's early season, but I was like, fuck it, can't move it. It was like 2 rod lengths out. And I thought I'd come off the grass to get like a better angle on it. And it looked like gravel on top. It was about 7 inches of shit underneath it. And I would have had almost my Terex walking boots, mate. I'd straighten up to my shins. I was like, oh, fuck's sake. Now I'm stuck in the mud with a fish stuck in the weed.
You should have done the age-old trick. Whip down to you undercrackers. You'll be laughing,
it just looked like a bit of shingle on it, and it wasn't. It was a little bit where the top sediment had washed away, and there was the heavy stuff had left on top of. It was only about 7 inches deep, but
I understand.
Right
I'm similar. Me and you have got a similar frame. When I'm in my chesty sometimes, and I'm walking, and I see slightly more slight figures, I should say, just walking straight past it, and I start walking and thinking, fucking hell, I'm sinking.
I went right in. I was like, oh no, I don't want to move because I don't want to get, because it can be quite muddy.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck's sake. And I was, by this point now, I'd leant over to get the fish. The fish had flicked up. It got flipped. When I picked the fish up, it was covered in crap as well. It flicked it, and it went all up my top. It was up my glass. It was when you get a bit of sand in your teeth. It got me full on frontal with a splash of mud, and I could feel it when I was talking. It like gritting in my teeth.
It's the only full frontal you've not enjoyed, isn't it?
That's a vicious rumour. All right.
Well, talking about bass on lures and a different type of lure, I thought I'd drag in and plug one of my boys here today. So
get on.
We can maybe get him up on the screen here, but it's Dawnchild Charters. He runs. It's my mate Mark from Essex. He runs a charter business. I've known him for donkey's years. I've fished with him so many times over the years. He's a lovely guy. He's one of these younger generation of charter skippers that sort of go the extra mile. He's got quite a heavy presence online, Instagram, Facebook, and I thought I'd bring this up just to shame him a wee bit, but it's a funny ass clip. If you haven't seen it, it has floated around and it's had quite a lot of views, but he's out on his boat, he's got a jig on one rod, he drops the jig down to the bottom because another rod's going off, and while he's doing it, if you just watch this little rod in the foreground here, in a moment you will see that something picks up his jig. Oh, there we go. It's going. It's going.
He's panicking.
He's trying to unhook the bass as quick as possible. Throws it back. Bosh. Rod's gone. Now the funny thing to this is that he actually then carries on from that. He's lost his rod. He quickly he's juggling about 10 rods. God knows what he's doing with all them rods. Mark, sort yourself out. What have you got all them rods for? But
some boy.
I mean, he's had some comments on it, but he quickly starts casting it out and sinks one down, and he manages to snare his rod with the fish still attached.
That's the dog's.
Oh yes. Now he posted that an edited version of that rod going over quite a while ago, and he had put that little thing like for. At this point, he realised he'd fucked up, you know.
Yeah.
And he obviously got a lot of hate online, as you always do. So he's posted another post up now with the whole clip, with him narrating over the top, telling people exactly what's gone on. And there you go. Mark Dawntide Charters. I'm actually going to be down in Essex fishing. There you go. I think he's back into his rod now. But I'm going to be down fishing with them. I'm scheduled to go and do a trip with him in October. And you're talking about bass. Well, I'll tell you, these boys, in terms of charters...
Some fucking belting fishing up there, mate, yeah.
This Dawntide, what he does, seriously, I would stick my neck out and say he is the premier bass boat in the country.
Get on.
He catches masses of bass, all on lures. They love it. They love it. They go.
Look at that, he's caught the line, look. That's fucking awesome.
It's a happy ending. We all love a happy ending.
Oh, mate, who doesn't love
a happy ending, you know?
Yeah.
I think when he pulls it in, I thought there was a fish did it. It is, he is.
Yeah,
this is the fish. He's still got the fish on.
That's class. What are the chances?
Honestly, to even get his rod back as well, you know.
Yeah,
but there you go. But he's a nice guy. He's a you know. I say he's a youngster. He's not that young anymore, but you know, he's got this sort of young. I liken him to the guys down in Cornwall, Unleashed. Kieran and
Liam.
That. They've got this fire in their belly, haven't they? And he's the same. I mean, he's very passionate about his bass fishing.
Fair play.
And in the back end of the summertime, they do offshore trips. He does offshore charter trips. Lure fishing, and honestly, their numbers are out of this world. Yeah. And I've seen, like, again on his Instagram, you watch some of the clips that they put up, and it's like they're a bass coming in the sea, like dun 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 dun, and they're just like they're coming. It's like everybody on the boat, rods bent. Oh, it's crazy. And you know how you see it in America when it's like the bluefish are all going mental or
Stripers
something.
going ballistic.
It's like that. It's literally like a whole sea of bass just heading towards the boat, and they're like, excellent stuff. Top guy, top boat as well. If you're in Essex or you're around the southeast, and again, I sometimes get messages from people saying, "Oh, I'd love to be catching bass and things like that." Of course, there's so many varieties but if you really want to have a 100% chance of going to catching your quota of bass for the day as well, if you like to eat them, he will take you out. You will catch bass in his boat.
No, shut up, man.
100%. So yeah, there you go.
Nice one, mate.
Yeah.
So what have you got planned for the rest of the week then?
So the rest of the week I have got coming up next week on Tuesday, and the weather, I don't want to say it, but the weather's looking good.
Yeah.
I'm scheduled to go out with Matthew Forrester.
Yeah, nice.
From Silver Halo Charters.
Yep.
Now, I do some stuff with Joker jigs and lures. I use his stuff. I like his stuff.
Yep.
And
There's another long story. We actually had him on a guest, but there was a fucking technical error.
Oh no, you didn't record it.
There's a bit of missing.
Somebody forgot to push record, did they?
Well, it's not Aaron's fault. It's definitely not Aaron's fault.
So I'm out with him on Tuesday anyway. So we're going to be hopefully filming some content for the channel. Slow jigging. I will take another rod with me as well, just in case the conditions get a little bit difficult for the slow jigging. So I'll bring the old-fashioned boom setup. Also, when I'm doing that jig sort of fishing, I tend to use that as like a backup. If I can't get my slow jigs working properly, or they're sort of pulling away too far from the boat, then I'll go to the boom setup.
Yeah,
so yeah, Matthew Forrester, Silver Halos. I'm out with him on Tuesday, and then at the end of the week, we have got the follow-up to this, what I mentioned at the start, the place competition. It's been rescheduled, so I'm fishing the place comp. It's an open competition, open to all small boat owners. It's in from Plymouth, so if you own a small boat, get in touch with Southwest Sea Baits. I think it's about £10 a head entry. It's going to be based on biggest fish wins the day. Prize funds will be split out depending on how many people are fishing. But as with all these...
Geographically, where's the barriers?
It's going to be running... I think the idea is to be fishing Whitsands Bay, which is just on the Cornwall side from Plymouth. But it's a lovely, big, flat, sandy area of Whitsands, and there are the best part of a good couple of miles of flat sands. There are numerous place marks there where you can do some drifting. Right, I mean, you can do a drift. You can go from one end of the beach and drift from Ramehead all the way basically along to Whitsands to Tregantle sort of way, which is sort of miles of shoreline, and fish for your place. So I'm actually excited to fish that. I do love a bit of place fishing. I'm not that bad at it. I think I could be in with a chance, but there's a guy, I'm going to name drop him, Steve Larson. He is the bit of the Don around there, and he smashes it. So, I mean, numbers-wise, you won't compete with him, but it's all about the biggest fish at the end of the day. So, if I could be lucky and get one big one to his 10 smaller ones, I'll be double happy.
Yeah, fair play, mate.
I've said if anybody sort of finishes above this guy, when I'm back next week, we're going to be talking about maybe the results of it. I won't be surprised to be mentioning his name again, if I'm honest. He's a good guy, and he's a very, very good place angler. He does a lot. He concentrates a lot on his place fishing. And from my knowledge of the local boats around Plymouth and the fleet that go out and the local fishermen, I dabble in a bit of everything. But I don't think there's anybody that does it better than what he does, unless they're super secret and I don't know about them.
Yeah, get along.
Yeah, so fair play. Let's see what the week holds. Fingers crossed on the weather. Fingers crossed we go and smash a few good fish out with Matthew Forrester on Silver Halos. I'm itching. I've been scheduled to do that trip 3 or 4 times now, 2 or 3 times now, and every time it's been blown off. So, yes. And I've literally messaged him this morning, and I've sent him a screenshot of the weather. I don't know whether I've just killed us.
Oh, mate, you
know, I know,
right
I completely balls it, and I've said to him, it's looking good, let's do this. And we'll let you know how we get on. I'm sure he's a top angler as well. When it comes to his jigging, I think he's one of the top. He's a good jig master.
Yeah, mate.
He's good at jigging.
Oh yeah, he loves a bit of the jig.
Yeah, that's it. So that's it. I've got one other thing I've got to mention as well. I need to just have a shout out today. My mate Ant from Essex. He has been out in the mud for me, and he has gone and got him a shitload of crabs, and he's delivering them down to me in the post. Literally, just out of the blue, give me a call, said, I'm at Crabbing Bend, you need some crabs, I'll send some to you. And I'm just like, yes, there's a bear shit in the woods, of course I need crabs. And he's like, fair enough, I'll send them. And he didn't even take the postage off me. And I've known him since school time. He's a good friend, he's good mates for me, my brother. We've known him for many years. But how nice is that?
Yeah, fair
Thanks
play,
a lot, and honestly, I've said I'm going to give you a shout out, but I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, nice
because you know what it's like getting crabs,
and
to have a nice box load of them being sent down. Of course, on a freebie's lovely, but I would have happily tossed some money. because they're worth it, you know, because they are worth it.
Yeah,
so there we go. Anyway,
Get
that's
on,
it.
mate. Get on.
We'll see how we go next week. Fingers crossed. I've got a little gold medallion around my neck saying place winner. I was the only person to fish the place comp in Plymouth.
Yeah, get on. Well,
no, if it was anything
I wish
like
you the very best luck.
Thank you. We'll see. We'll be back with a tale to tell, I'm sure.
Fuck yeah. Nice one, mate. Nice one, mate.
Yeah.
Right, mate. Well, I think we're pretty much there.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, always good to catch up with you, Ben.
Yeah, always lovely to be here.
Yeah,
and we will again be back next week.
Yeah.
Same time, same place.
Yeah, nice, mate. Cool. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Give us a share, and we will definitely talk to you soon. Cheers, Ben.
Thank you very much.